Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, February 13th. It's now the Dow's turn to chase a new record today as investors await key inflation data due out this morning. During regular trading yesterday, the Dow added 125 points or 0.33% to end at 38,707 points, a fresh record high. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both closed in the red, the S&P 500 shedding just 0.09% and the NASDAQ lost 0.3%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're down 0.35% this morning. Realistically, you're seeing this weakness. Markets are, again, we're waiting on that inflation number, that CPI data to be released, which is coming out 1 hour before the market opens. Hey, the tech stocks are really weighing on the market this morning. They've been in an overbought, position, and that sector right now is moving lower. I see that the Senate passed that 95 billion Ukraine-Israel aid. Bill still needs to get through the House, though, so we got to wait on that. Then you got JetBlue. I mean, JetBlue is trading higher this morning. As Carl Icahn apparently has picked up almost 10% of the shares. We're looking over at Europe this morning, and Europe is rather weak this morning. I got to tell you, I'm a little surprised. I thought we'd be seeing some better movement in Europe, but the DAX is down 98 points or 0.58%. We're looking at the FTSE down 23 points or 0.31%. We're looking at the CAC down almost 40 points or 0.52%. It's really tech selling off there, but you look at the healthcare and other sectors, and they're not really being hit too hard over in Europe. We're looking at Asia last night, and while most of Asia was closed, Hong Kong, Japan's Nikkei index was open, and in Tokyo, you saw that market jump 2.89%. That's 1,065 points it jumped last night. So yeah, Tokyo had a really good move. Keeping an eye on oil. Oil is trading a little higher, up about 0.7%. WTI is at $77.48, and Brent is at $82.58. Really, what's moving this thing is you get the OPEC report coming out to this morning. You also have that inflationary report. That inflationary report is expected to come in and show disinflation. And when that happens, you get a weaker dollar. When you get a weaker dollar, oil prices go up. So yeah, that's why we're seeing this action in oil prices. So yeah, keep an eye on oil. Oil's going to continue to have some strength in the short term and the near term, Emily. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning markets update.
A number of details to get through here throughout the show, Bill, including that economic report, but also earnings action. You mentioned, tech is taking a hit here. When it comes to earnings, I find it fascinating. Looks like there's some good reports out, but good isn't quite good enough for investors. So let's jump into the earnings action here, Bill. What is going on there?
Yeah, look at Cadence Design Systems, CDNS, Charlie, David, Nancy, Sam. They beat by 5 cents on a higher revenue. Guidance was the issue here. You look at the stock, it's down 6.91% this morning. Arista Networks, ANET, they beat by 38 cents and they did it on higher revenue. It just wasn't high enough. You look at the stock this morning, it's down 7.08% this morning. You look at it, Datadog, ticker DDOG, David, Oscar, Grace. They met expectations. They did do it on higher revenue, not enough. Stock's down 7.02% this morning. We're talking Moody's, ticker MCO, Michael Charlie Oscar. They missed by 14 cents on lower revenue. That stock's down 2.76%. Looking at Coca-Cola, ticker KO, they met expectations on higher revenue. Shares are up 1.36% this morning on their earnings. Then you're talking about what's coming up. You got Airbnb, ticker ABNB, Apple Boy, Nancy Boy, their EPS is 69 cents. Expected move here is 8.76%. Then you got MGM Resorts, Michael Grace, Michael, their EPS is 66 cents. Expected move here is 6.63%. And Hood, Robin Hood, ticker HOOD, Henry, Oscar, David, their EPS is for a loss of a penny. Expected move is 3.51% when they release this afternoon, Emily.
And Bill, when it comes to economic events today, the highlight here is that CPI report that we both mentioned. Investors are keeping a close eye on that. So give us a look at the day's economic events.
Yeah, the CPI is really the key report that's coming out today. That's the one everybody is going to be focusing on. It comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Um, the fact that, let's take a look at the facts. I mean, the estimates are calling for the CPI to show a 2.9% year over year rise in inflation. Now, that's like a half a point less than what it was in December. So that would be very positive. Um, I do think that they're going to be paying more to the headline and to the components that make up the inflation this time around. So we'll have to see how what this report looks like when it comes out this morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. But that's the key economic data report being released today, Emily.
And Bill, with all eyes on that, you're going to be able to see that information as it comes out. You're not going to be trailing behind the major news outlets to gather that and publish their reports. You're going to see it right away because you have NewsWare. I'm sure you have your economic alerts set up for that information. And you're going to be ahead of the markets, ahead of the major news outlets because you're using NewsWare, a professional newswire. You're also able to keep track of other data and information on the day while all eyes are shifted there. You're still keeping track of the day's other events. You mentioned earnings, but you're also looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You're looking at your stocks grouped together, your FANG stocks, your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Yeah, I'm looking at my Dow stocks this morning, and I'm showing four higher, two unchanged, the rest lower. That's not a good start today. I'm looking at my FANG stocks and they're all lower this morning. Netflix is only down 0.16% or 91 cents, and that's the best performing of the group. Banks are lower, but drug stocks are mixed. That doesn't surprise me. Retail stocks, that they're lower, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some gains in there. And semiconductor stocks, obviously, tech stocks are taking a hit this morning. So we got to, we got to keep an eye on that. Oil stocks are in the green. That's good to see. We're probably going to see some gains in oil again today. In terms of news that's hitting this tape that's causing this stuff, one of the stories I saw this morning is the EU closes its market investigations on Microsoft and Apple under its DMA, which is the Digital Marketing Act. Amazon, that new basic level of Prime subscriptions removes Dolby Vision, HDR, and sound support. I see on Facebook, senators really pushed Zuckerberg on Instagram warning screen yesterday. Moving over to Dow Jones 30s, Senate Judiciary Committee, Dick Durbin, asked CEOs of American Airlines and Visa and MasterCard to testify in an April 9th hearing on credit card fees. Microsoft, ticker MSFT, they're planning an Xbox update event on February 15th. That's in 2 days, and they're going to be doing that at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Let's talk about Nike for a second. NKE, Nancy Kilo Edward, Tiger Woods just announced an apparel deal with TaylorMade. Remember, he's been with Nike for, ever since his career started. That contract is now over, and he's signed to do an apparel deal with TaylorMade. Talking merger news, JetBlue, ticker JBLU, Carl Icahn reports a 9.91% stake. Talking guidance news, Zoom Info, ticker ZI, they see Q1 adjusted EPS coming in 23 cents to 24 cents. Street estimates 23 cents. That's positive. ANET, Arista Networks, Apple, Nancy Edward Tom, they see Q1 revenue coming in 1.52 billion to 1.56 billion. Street estimates 1.53 billion. That's positive. Talking Cadence Design, CDNS, Charlie David Nancy Sam, they see Q1 adjusted EPS $1.10 to $1.14. Street estimate had it at $1.37. That's a big negative. Charlie David Nancy Sam, not a good guidance there. Talking shareholders meetings, J&J Snack Foods is having a shareholders meeting today, 10 a.m. That's JJSF, John, Sam Frank. Talking buyback news, Principal Financial Group, PFG, Paul Frank Grace, they announced a 1.5 billion stock repurchasing plan. That's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
Tough day to be making a pick with all these, red symbols on my screens, but I'm going to go with Owens Corning, ticker OC, Oscar Charlie. Earnings are tomorrow morning. EPS is $2.82. Expected move 5.87. Looking at yesterday's call volume, we saw 229 calls versus 166 puts. We're looking at the open interest, 2,451 calls versus 1,582 puts. They're both positive. Major brokers do like the stock. They've been raising price targets. Multiple brokers have been raising price targets on the stock. So, that is positive. In terms of an entry point, I got to be really careful here because, you're going to be selling off and the stock's, trading higher this morning. I don't think that's going to hold. But, I want to get in under 148.50. I mean, closer to 148. If I can get it under that, that would be my better. But I do think we're going to see a gain in Owens Corning, ticker OC, Oscar Charlie today. Just got to get in that right entry point, and I believe it's 148 to 148.50 this morning, Emily.
Bill Owings Corning, it is today on a rocky morning ahead of that CPI report. Still looking at your data points to make a pick for us. So we're going to keep an eye on that today. And coming up, we're going to take a look back on yesterday and do a recap on that pick of the day. So don't go anywhere. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
All right, let's see. What do we see here? H&R Block, HRB, to release a reality TV parody, Responsibility Island. Airbnb, ABNB, former hedge fund manager thinks this is going to trigger the next bear market. One stock doesn't trigger a bear market. Plenty of ex-hedge fund managers out there. Marriott, ticker MAR, Michael Apple Richard, Marriott CEO, sees another year of solid growth in 2024. Cigna, ticker CI, Cigna and HelloFresh partner to expand access to healthy meal choices. That's interesting. Hasbro, ticker HAS, down 12%, after missing Q4 estimates. San Francisco, that Waymo arson sparks fresh debate on self-driving cars. Restaurant branch QSI, a company inch past Wall Street's estimates for quarterly revenue, helped by efforts to turn around its Burger King business as well as strong demand at Tim Hortons. Toyota Motor, the company said both the president and chairman of Datsun Motor will be stepping down almost a year after the small car unit said it rigged collision safety tests. Oh yeah. You get Cisco releasing tomorrow after the bell. EXAI, Elvis X-Ray, Apple India. Board removed the CEO. Apparently he was having an inappropriate relationship. STTK, Sam Tom Kilo announced a worldwide drug discovery collaboration with Ono Pharmaceutical. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading today, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Arista Networks, ticker ANET. This morning, I saw a number of price target bumps on the stock by the likes of Goldman, Evercore, Barclays, and Piper Sandler. As you told us during your earnings rundown, the company did report earnings yesterday. They reported a Q4 EPS of $2.08, well above the consensus of $1.70. They reported Q4 revenue of $1.54 billion. Again, that was ahead of the consensus of $1.53 billion. The company credited AI and strong cloud demand to that higher revenue. During your NewsWare alerts, Bill, you also gave us that Q1 guidance, in line, even above the consensus estimates. A good report all around, pretty decent guidance, but just not enough. Bill, how did your call work out?
I got smoked. It's plain and simple. I mean, stock was up $10 in the pre-market. I didn't think it would fall $10. Stock opened up at 292.66. It fell all the way down to 280.18 and then closed at 280.88, which wasn't bad, but the market didn't like the report. Obviously, I mean, you look at what's going on. What didn't they like about it? They didn't like the fact that they didn't lift guidance for 2024. I mean, so they're conservative with their guidance. I mean, you look at all the brokers they're throwing out, they're raising price targets left and right. So, it wasn't a bad report. It's just that the market had higher expectations and we're in a situation right now where tech is selling off if they don't, meet every checkbox on investors' wish list, and that wish list is, rather high. So, yeah, it didn't work out. Sorry about that. I'll do better. ANET was a miss yesterday, Emily.
Bill, like you always say, we live to trade another day. Investors being picky on those earnings, but we will check in with you tomorrow about today's earnings scoring pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow on each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.